Breaking news now. Police are investigating after a man shows up at the hospital with a gunshot wound.
News Channel 5's Alexandra Cohen is at Nashville General. And Alexandra, good morning. The victim, we understand, is going to be all right.
That's right. According to doctors and police, he is expected to make a full recovery after being shot in the lower leg. Right now, they believe an altercation between two suspects and that victim ended with shots fired. Police say they were dispatched to Nashville General Hospital around 2 this morning. The 36-year-old victim says he was shot in the lower leg during an argument on Cockrell Street around 1 this morning. Officers believe he was dropped off by a private vehicle. The only description officers have released is that the suspects are two young men. They did not get any further description. So if you have any information or in that area around that time, Crime Stoppers and Metro Police, they want to hear from you. Reporting live in Nashville, Alexandra Cohen, News Channel 5.
Alexandra, thanks so much. And more breaking news now. A woman fighting for life after being run over by a car. News Channel 5's Dan Kennedy joins us live from Vanderbilt University Medical Center, where that woman is in critical condition. And witnesses say she just had fallen into the roadway, Dan?
Yeah, according to police, she was walking on the sidewalk along Clifton Avenue shortly after 11 o'clock last night. It's a dark street. You'll see it in a minute. And then she stumbled, fell onto the roadway, and was just lying there when this car came by. The driver says she didn't see this woman in the road, and that's when she was run over. So here's what it looked like when police got there about 11:20 last night. Again, the Clifton Avenue. Driver told police she didn't see her lying in the roadway. That's when the woman was hit. The woman was taken to Vanderbilt in critical condition. Like you said, Steve, she has life-threatening injuries this morning, and doctors are working to keep her alive. They're going on about 7 hours since she arrived at the hospital. The fatal response team was out there last night with the police working that scene, reconstructing the incident to try and figure out what exactly happened. The driver is cooperating. The driver called 911 and remained on the scene. And as of now, no charges have been filed against that driver. Reporting live from Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Dan Kennedy, News Channel 5.
Two gunmen are on the run after robbing the Hustler Hollywood early this morning. Sophie Nielsen-Colding's been talking to detectives for us. And Sophie, were there any customers inside when these guys burst in?
There were actually two people inside the store shopping around when those robbers came in. Those guys made off with one of the customers' purses and a bunch of cash. Here's what we know about how this all went down. It happened around just before 1 o'clock in the morning. The gunman busted up into the store and pointed a gun at the clerk, demanding the money from the cash register. They also made the clerk go over to the safe, open up the safe, and the robbers took the cash from inside there as well. They took the customer's purse and then took off through the back. Police got here and they set up a perimeter around the Hustler Hollywood. They tracked the suspects into an alley with a police dog, but those two gunmen got away. Police think that they got into a car at some point and then took off from there. Luckily, no one was hurt in all of this, but right now police are still actively investigating this robbery and working to track down those two gunmen. Reporting live in Nashville, Sophie Nielsen-Colding, News Channel 5.
Sophie, thank you. And police are looking for two men this morning after identifying the body found in a Madison ditch.
It's still unclear, however, how 26-year-old Jamie Kopelus died there. Her body was discovered Monday. We talked about this for a couple of days now after her grandmother reported her missing. She was last spotted leaving the Steak and Shake on Myatt Drive last Tuesday where she worked. Witnesses say that Jamie left, however, with these men that night, pictured right here. If you recognize either one of them, contact police. Williamson County officials are hoping you might also be able to identify a murder victim. A woman's body was found Monday night off Cross Keys Road in College Grove. The TBI sent a sketch out of what the victim may have looked like, a white woman around 5'7", about 200 pounds. And to the left of your screen, you see that design of a tattoo that the woman has. If you recognize her or that tattoo, call 1-800-TBI-FIND.
Also new this morning, a man accused of shooting two teens is behind bars. Police say one of the victims knew the shooter's name, Jadarius Terrell, and was able to identify him in a photo lineup. Terrell was arrested yesterday. The shooting happened back in May on 18th Avenue North and Cass Street. One teen was shot in the hand, the other in the hip. They are both okay. And he was pulled over for not wearing his seatbelt, but ended up in jail for murder. Turns out 22-year-old Jim Bai was wanted for killing a former classmate outside of school last October. An officer saw the arrest warrant when running his information during that stop. Investigators say Bai shot and killed 19-year-old Jory Sweat in the parking lot of Glen Gary Elementary School. Police haven't released a motive for the murder.
2 men are locked up after police found meth and heroin in their car. Murfreesboro PD pulled over Jeremy Harrell because the windows of his SUV were too dark. Officers say he and his passenger, Casey Peach, seemed a little nervous, so they asked to search the vehicle. And when they did, that's when they found the stuff. Both men are now facing drug charges this morning.
A new state law designated to crack down on underage DUI offenders may end up costing Tennessee millions. The law is not in compliance with federal guidelines, and that means the state could lose $60 million in federal highway funds. The law raises the allowable blood alcohol content for drivers under 21 from 0.02 to 0.08 and increases the penalties. The problem is it violates federal zero tolerance rules. Now state officials are scrambling to fix the problem.
I know all of our federal counterparts, all of our federal delegation, our congressmen, our senators, the governor, everyone is working on making sure that we do not lose $60 million in funding. That is unacceptable.
Tennessee has until October 1st to become compliant or to lose the money.
It's a conversation happening in the mid-state now after an unarmed deaf man was fatally shot by police in North Carolina. Police sirens and commands are, of course, a big indicator for most of us during a traffic stop. But for the deaf community, they can't hear those. And because of that, outreach group Bridges is teaching the deaf community the best ways to deal with police. And police are working as well to learn basic sign language.
I'm an officer here. I'm going to help you, and you help me, and we can make sure we build our community stronger.
I think it's very important for us to partner and work together with law enforcement.
Indeed it is. The Hendersonville Police Department planning to use technology to better communicate with the deaf and hard of hearing. They will be carrying iPads equipped with translators. And I've done some things with Bridges in the past for the deaf and hard of hearing, and it's just a great organization here in Nashville.